You've had two moments in your life since you became a professional jockey which could have ended everything. One, your own fault, and I'll come to that in a moment. The first one, though, was the plane crash, which is really one of those moments in your life
Miracle.
where it was a light aircraft, you were going from one race course to another. The pilot very sadly died. You were with your great friend and manager, Ray Cochrane, at the time. You both managed to get out just before it all went up in flames. What do you remember about what happened that day?
What I remember about, in a nutshell, I can explain it, it'll take hours, but basically on takeoff, something went wrong, plane went down.
What were you feeling as it went down?
What I felt when I was down, I looked at Ray, and as I was staring as the ground was approaching, I didn't have time to scream, and I was just disappointed that I was going to die. I was thinking to myself, I'm 29 years old. I just had a 6-month child. Why are you taking me now? I was just disappointed. Why now? You know what I mean? I got so much to look forward in life. That's all I felt.
You really thought you were about to die?
That's it. No two questions about it. And some miracle.
What was the landing like?
Some miracle. Well, the wing of the plane clipped this bank, what made the plane rotate. Anyway, never mind that. So it was just like an enormous speed in a washing machine. I don't know what happened.
Can you remember that?
Yeah, I remember the impact. And then obviously my skin on my forehead went all the way back. So my blood was pouring in front of my face. And I was in a state of concussion, I guess, where I had 180 vision. I could see the two engines on fire. And I saw the pilot inch down in front, but I couldn't move. I was just paralyzed. I just couldn't. I knew that I had to get out, but I could not move. And then Ray gave me a nudge. He was next to me, and he kind of woke me up. And I realized that I broke my leg. And when I went to get out, it was a 6-seater twin engine. The plane was like in bits. The door didn't exist anymore. And luckily for us, the luggage door was just in the back of the seat, was half open. And as I crawled out, I realized I had a broken leg. Ray pushed me out. Then he crawled out and he dragged me away from here to the end of the room. And he
was concerned that because so much fuel was on the plane,
and then,
that it could all go up.
And then he took his jacket off, and he tried to go back for the pilot, and the plane exploded. And he was burned from head to toe, and it was, I could hear him yelling of anger because he couldn't get the pilot out. So, it was a trauma for me. I lost my good friend, my pilot. I was lucky twice, lucky to be alive the crash, and lucky to be alive that Ray got me out of that plane. I couldn't be burned alive. It took me 17 years to get back on the plane.
Did it really?
Yeah, I mean, I was scarred, and even now when I get...
How long between you getting out of the wreckage and it going up was it?
Seconds.
Really?
Seconds.
So you were seconds from just...
Yeah.
From...
I mean, imagine the two wings of plane were full of fuel. Seconds.
So Ray saved your life?
He did, yeah. Yeah, and saved my life, and I owe him my life. And when he had big neck problems after the crash, so I told him to quit racing, and he became my manager for 20 years. So.
Do you ever talk about it together?
Ray never talked about it. We talked about it 20 years after.
Really?
Yeah, we had a toast together. Ray's a very deep man. He, yeah. Never talked about it, and I'm now going person. Always talked about it. He kept it to himself, and yeah. I mean, you can't explain what we've been through, and there is ways to deal with it. Perhaps I should have sought help, but I had good family around me, and well, here I am. I shouldn't be here. There we go.
It's an extraordinary story.
Mad, yeah, twice.
And I read that that later you were thinking, you were 29, you were thinking you'd always wanted, as an ambition, a young Italian,
that's right,
to buy a Ferrari.
That's right.
And you just thought, well, what am I waiting for?
That's right.
I could have died just then.
No,
and you went and bought a Ferrari.
I said to myself, when I get to 30, if I've got enough money, I'll have to get a Ferrari, being Italian. And at 29 and a half, after I got out of the hospital, as soon as I could walk a little bit, I went to get myself one. I thought, you know why? And, you know, it did change my life. You know, I would say, if that didn't happen, I probably would have been more successful in my career. But, you know, I become...
Why? Because you spent more time with family? And...
Yeah, I was more focused and I was tunnel vision. But after that, you know, family, you know, I've got 5 children.
Yeah.
You know, I juggle life and riding and try to get the best of both worlds. And, you know, a lot of times you think, you know, why should you get upset? You know, after what happened to me, a lot of things really don't really matter, you know.
The other thing that could have ended everything for you professionally was when you tested positive for cocaine in 2012. And you really struggled for quite a long time, 18 months, to get another good ride. You thought maybe that's it. That was a self-inflicted wound.
Yeah.
When you look back at that, I mean, obviously, fortunately, you had a sort of saviour who came along and picked you up and said, right, I'm gonna back you.
So basically, yeah, oh, look, I was a silly boy, you know, went out, took some drugs, got tested a week later, and it was in my system. You know, I wasn't doing it because I was riding, it was more recreational. And yeah, quite rightly so, I admitted it. I got 6 months banned. Took my family out of school. We went around the world because, you know, obviously they were getting bullied, they were getting picked out of school. You know, I had paparazzi outside my house.
How did that make you feel that you'd brought that on everyone?
Not great. I think the biggest disappointment is telling my own parents.
How did they react?
Not great. My dad being old-fashioned. Kids, you know, they thought it was quite funny having paparazzi outside there to smuggle me in and out of the car with a blanket. We had a good time together around the world, and you know, I served my time. I did my 6 months. I came back, and I thought, well, everything's going to be on Kidori. Come back, but you know, obviously, nobody would touch me. You know, for some reason.
You said you felt like a leper. It was
I mean, I took it. You know, it took me. I just couldn't get a ride for about a year, and then yeah, I got to a point a year later. I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I thought, well, I've got no other choice. You know, I can't get any business, so maybe I have to look to do something else. Maybe
what would you have done if you hadn't been?
Probably maybe go into the media. But you know, I wasn't ready to quit. You know,
how were you feeling in that wilderness period?
I felt terrible. I felt terrible, and you know, and then the worst thing was, you know, even my wife started doubting me. You know, she said to me the famous word, "Show me how good you are."
Really?
You know, one day, you know, we were struggling to pay bills and things were going bad, and we all end up in an argument. And she turned around and said, well, you know, all your life you're telling me how good you are. Look at us now, we can't pay bills. Just show me how good you are. And
wow, that's a moment.
And that was like, you know, somebody shot me in the heart, right? You know, coming from my own wife. And that really got me fired right up. And I just said nothing, and I put my head down, and I persisted, I carried on, and 18 months later, a year later, I goes and win the Epsom Derby on Golden Horn, and we had a massive party at home, a few drinks with friends.
That feeling when you crossed the line and you won the derby.
Oh, that was amazing, that feeling, but the feeling was when I got home and we did the party.
Did you say to your wife, that's how good I am?
So basically, when everybody left the house and we were sitting there, and I said, do you remember what you said to me a year ago? I said, that's it. I said, don't ask me again. I've done it now. So that was it. So, but,
what did she say?
She said that at the time I needed something like that
you probably did.
To make me believe, or to give me a push. And yeah, I mean, those famous words, show me how good you are, yeah, they imprinted in my house, trust me.
That's an amazing story.
Mad. But, you know, I think, you know, sometimes we all need someone to touch that nerve.
Yes.
You know, and
to fire you up again.
And that's at the time, that's what I needed. And you know, who better person than your own wife who knows me so well to just, you know. And she said, you know, I just needed to say that, and it worked.
How important has she been, Catherine, to you?
Well, you know, she's been with me 30 years. I mean, I feel sorry for her that I brought her through this crazy life, you know, never mind self-inflicting stupid things that I've done, plane crashes, nearly killed myself, every day worried that I could end up in hospital when I ride. You know, it must be a worry for a woman to marry somebody like me, but she stuck with me. We had some amazing times together, and, you know, she's been so good to me.
Do you remember when you proposed to her?
I did, yeah. I was in Scalini, one of my favorite Italian restaurants in London, and yeah, it was a nice afternoon in London, and I got on my knee, and I remember everybody...
In the restaurant?
In the restaurant, everybody stood up and clapped. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was sweet.
Did you have a ring?
I did have the ring, yes. Yeah, of course. And I was told, because I'm not English, I was told I had to go and see the father. Then I went to see Catherine's dad the night before, and I got a full lecture from his father. And
How did you sell yourself to him?
well, I said, listen, I came to ask the hand of your daughter. And he sat me down and said, listen, he said, before you start this, she's going to finish her studies. You're going to look after her. Give me a proper wash down, proper good English wash down. But yeah, great. Yeah, I'm, you know, 5 kids.
What's the secret to a lasting marriage, do you think?
I think we don't live in each other's pocket. She lets me get on with what I have to do. She's been ultra busy with children. And we meet in the middle, you know. We have our own things that we like. And, you know, she just gives me free reins to be what I have to be, you know. You know, I'm a showman at the races, that's what I am, and she just lets me do, you know, what I have to do. What is very important, that to have that backing.